So, what are the rituals to be done on the 11th? Actually, the 11th and the 12th are similar in activities, and the activities are very limited. You simply collect 21 pebbles, 7 for each, and the stoning time begins at noon when the adhan is given for dhuhr. You remember saying that dhuhr time, if we have an erect object and the sun rises from the east, as the sun rises, the object has a long shade. As it rises, the shade decreases and decreases and decreases until the sun is in the middle of the sky and the object has no shade. The moment the sun heads a bit to the west and the object has a little short shade, this is called az-zawal, and this is the time that the adhan is given, and this is the time when dhuhr is due. This is the time that a pilgrim can start his stoning. And the majority of scholars say that if a pilgrim stones 5 minutes before that, his stoning is not valid. And the reason that we follow this so seemingly strict ruling, because if other scholars say, or other schools of thought say, that it's okay to throw in the early morning, that would reduce the crowd in a sense. But why do you follow such a strict ruling? The reason is that this is what the Prophet did, alayhi salatu wasalam. So by no means it's these stoning places, Jamaratul Sughra and Jamaratul Wusta and Jamaratul Aqaba. And he stood there asking his companions, did the sun started to decline to the west? Hal zalat al-shams? Is it time for dhuhr? And they said, no, not yet. And they asked, shall we stone? And he said, no, wait. And he asks again and again and again whether it's time or not. And the people say, no, it's not time. Until they tell him, yes, O Prophet of Allah, it is time. Meaning the sun has gone towards the west and the erect object has a small shadow. Only then the Prophet said, Al-an armu, now we should stone. And he started stoning alongside with the Muslims. Now you tell me, what do you understand? When the Prophet ﷺ, who is accompanied by so many Muslims, and they are under the sun, and they're all waiting for his signal to start stoning, yet he does not give that signal to them until he is notified that the sun has gone towards the west and it is time for dhuhr. What do you understand from this? Anyone would have said that if it were permitted, the Prophet would not have placed hardship upon his ummah. So this is the time of stoning. There are rituals that you cannot play with. Ramadan is Ramadan. No one can come and say, listen, Sheikh, in summer, Ramadan in the Scandinavian countries goes like 20 to 21 hours, and that's a lot. Can we shift Ramadan to winter time where fasting is like 6 hours? I says, no, you can't shift it. How can you? How dare you? This is religion. It's not a game to play. So as long as it was prescribed by our Prophet ﷺ, he's the one who designated this time, we should comply and follow that. So we begin to stone forward to the right and raise your hands and make dua facing the Qibla. Make dua, say what, Sheikh? Anything you want. And after you finish making dua, you go to the middle jamara and you do the same process of stoning it 7 times, saying Allahu Akbar with each throw. And then you go a little bit to the left, facing the Qibla, raise your hands and make dua shorter than the one before. And then you go all the way to Jamarat al-Aqaba and you throw 7 pebbles and you go back to your camp without any dua and without any raising your hands. This is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which most of the Muslims neglect nowadays. They just go like Speedy Gonzales, throwing 7, throwing 7, throwing 7 and leave. They don't want to spend their time making dua in tranquility, not rushing things, not pushing others, not fighting. They want to do everything in a quick pace, and this is wrong. Hajj, time stops during Hajj. As I said earlier, you are out of your comfort zone. You leave all of your world behind and focus on these 4 or 5 or 6 days quality time that you try to rebuild yourself with the grace of Allah, refresh your soul and reconnect with yourself, with your religion and with your Lord, the Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. After you finish, and you remember this is the 11th day, after you finish, you go back and retire to your camp and spend the whole day until the 12th of Zulhijjah, which is the following day. Now, on the 12th of Hijjah, you have an option. Either to do what you had done yesterday, pack your bags and go to Mecca. Decide to spend the night in Mina, because 70% of the pilgrims are leaving and I like the quality time I'm spending here. So I'm gonna spend another night and leave tomorrow to Mecca. So let us assume that you chose to leave today. The same rituals you did yesterday, after the adhan of Dhuhr, you start your stoning, 1, 2, and 3, and then you go back to your camp, gather your stuff, your clothes, your bags, and try to leave Mina before sunset. As long as you packed your bags and you went to the bus stop and you are trying to leave before sunset, this does the job. Even if the sun sets, you have no problem. But if you are chilling, if you are lazy, and you don't collect your bags and here and there communicating, come on guys, when are we gonna move? And the sun sets while you are not packed and ready to go, you have to, you are forced to spend the night in Mina. So the second day of a Tashriq, which is the 12th, is over. I have decided to spend the night in Mina, and I spend the night and go the following day on the 13th to stone. The same exact ritual. Al-Jamrat al-Sughra, the small one, the medium one, and the grand Jamrat al-Aqaba. And there's no rush. That's it. My rituals are over. I go and pack up my bags and head to Mecca.